Your mind isn't your enemy, but every toxic thought you refuse to confront becomes one. You're not losing because life is hard. You're losing because your mind is loud, cluttered, chaotic, and every time you try to focus, the noise pulls you back into the same darkness you swore you'd leave. David Goggins says one truth: clear your mind or your mind will control your life for you. Most people don't wake up defeated, they wake up distracted. Before their feet touch the ground, their mind is already tangled in memories they can't change, mistakes they can't undo, and fears that haven't even happened yet. Toxic thoughts are not just negative ideas floating in your head, they are mental traps designed by your past to keep you from stepping into your future. They disguise themselves as caution, humility, or realism, but their real mission is simple: stop you from taking control of your own life. Your mind wasn't built to make you extraordinary. It was built to keep you safe, but safety becomes poison when it starts protecting you from growth. Toxic thoughts creep in slowly until they become the background soundtrack of your life. You're not enough. You always fail. Why even try? Nobody cares. These lines don't sound toxic at first, they sound familiar. They sound like your own voice. But familiarity is the enemy of progress. The voice inside you is not always your ally. Sometimes it's the echo of every moment you felt small, rejected, or broken, repeating itself until you mistake trauma for truth. Your focus doesn't get destroyed in one moment. It is drained drop by drop every time you let toxic thoughts occupy space that should belong to discipline, clarity, and ambition. The average person loses hours every day to mental noise, scenarios that never happen, criticism that no one said, and fears that exist only in imagination. You don't need more time. You need fewer mental enemies. David Goggins talks about the internal dialogue, the war happening inside your own head. Not the physical pain, not the external challenges, but the voice that whispers reasons to stop. Toxic thoughts thrive in silence. When you try to move forward quietly, they get louder. When you avoid confronting them, they multiply. When you try to ignore them, they sharpen. You cannot outrun what you refuse to face. The first step to clearing your mind is brutal honesty. Not gentle reflection, brutal honesty. You must identify the exact thoughts that are hijacking your focus. What are the questions that haunt you when the room gets quiet? What are the judgments you repeat about yourself that no one else hears? What are the fears that shape your decisions without your permission? These thoughts don't come from wisdom. They come from wounds. Focus is not something you force. Focus is what remains when the noise disappears. The human brain is capable of extraordinary clarity, but clarity cannot survive in an environment polluted with doubt and fear. Every toxic thought is like a fingerprint left by moments that damaged you. Your job is not to erase the past. Your job is to refuse to let the past dictate the present. Some people are trapped by the same toxic belief for years without realizing it. They sabotage every opportunity because they secretly believe they don't deserve success. They quit too early because they fear humiliation more than failure. They choose comfort over growth because their mind has convinced them that effort leads to disappointment. Toxic thoughts rewrite your identity until you start behaving like someone who doesn't believe in themselves. But here is the truth most people never accept. Your mind is programmable. Your thoughts are not chains. They are patterns. And patterns can be broken. Mental strength does not come from pretending you're bulletproof. It comes from acknowledging the bullets and refusing to let them hit the same spot twice. You clear your mind by cleaning your internal environment with the same discipline you use to strengthen your body. You remove what weakens you. You reinforce what builds you. You create routines that protect your focus instead of routines that drain it. Your environment affects your mental clarity more than you realize. People who speak negativity create mental clutter. Places that remind you of your failures cloud your judgment. Habits that waste your time also waste your peace. Toxic surroundings create toxic thinking. If you want your mind to evolve, your environment cannot stay the same. One of the most damaging toxic thoughts is the belief that you must feel ready before you act. Readiness is a trap. Clarity comes from action, not preparation. Every time you wait to feel confident before taking a step, you allow fear to strengthen its position. The mind clears when the body moves. Action reorganizes your thoughts. Movement destroys doubt. Progress silences fear. You are not defined by the worst version of your mind. You are defined by the version you choose to build. You reclaim your focus by refusing to be a prisoner of your internal noise. When doubt whispers, you act louder. When fear emerges, you confront it. When negativity appears, you starve it of attention. The mind becomes what you feed it. Feed it fear and it will shrink. Feed it discipline and it will sharpen. Every toxic thought is a test of your identity. Do you believe the voice that tries to limit you or the voice that is fighting to break free? Your focus will never return until you choose which identity you want to strengthen, the wounded one or the warrior. Your inner peace doesn't disappear when life gets hard. It disappears when your thoughts lose direction. A clear mind is not empty, it is organized. It knows what to care about and what to ignore. It knows what matters and what does not. It knows when to fight and when to walk away. Toxic thoughts blur that awareness until everything feels stressful and nothing feels meaningful. To break the cycle, you must challenge every destructive belief with evidence. When your mind says, "You can't do this," remind it of when you already did. When it says, "You always fail," confront it with what you've survived. When it says, "Nobody supports you," remind it that you don't need approval to grow. Toxic thoughts fear logic. They thrive only in silence and avoidance. Shine a light on them and they dissolve. The purpose of life is not to eliminate all negativity, that is impossible. The purpose is to refuse to let negativity rule your decisions. You reclaim your mind the moment you choose strength over noise. When you focus on what you can build instead of what you fear, your mind shifts from prison to power. Your ability to focus is not determined by intelligence, it is determined by emotional discipline. The mind becomes toxic when you allow every passing emotion to control your thoughts. The world around you is full of noise, opinions, expectations, judgments, comparisons, and when you absorb all of it, your inner world becomes chaotic. Mental clarity begins with boundaries, not physical ones, cognitive ones. A boundary is a decision to no longer entertain thoughts that sabotage your progress. It is the moment you refuse to let guilt force your choices. It is the moment you stop giving energy to people who drain it. It is the moment you stop replaying scenarios that never actually happened. When you create internal boundaries, your mind becomes sharper, calmer, and more focused than it has ever been. David Goggins says the mind is like a room that collects junk over time. Old emotions, old disappointments, old fears, they pile up until you can't move freely inside your own head. You think you need motivation, but what you really need is mental cleaning. You remove the emotional trash. You stop keeping memories that hurt you. You stop replaying failures that have already taught you their lesson. You stop nurturing insecurities that have overstayed their welcome. The mind was never designed to carry everything. It was designed to process, release, and move forward. Toxic thoughts stay alive because you keep feeding them attention long after they have served their purpose. The moment you stop engaging, they lose their power. But to stop engaging, you must replace them with thoughts that build you, not thoughts that break you. The mind believes whatever you consistently tell it. If you tell it you're weak, it will find proof. If you tell it you're capable, it will search for evidence. If you tell it you're lost, it will magnify your confusion. If you tell it you're focused, it will sharpen your awareness. The mind is loyal, but you must decide who it is loyal to, your fears or your goals. Inner peace does not come from having an easy life. It comes from having a mentally disciplined life. You control what enters your mind. You decide what stays. You decide which thoughts deserve your attention and which thoughts must die quickly. Most people never reach their potential because they never learn to manage their inner world. They blame their job, their family, their schedule, everything except the storm in their own head. Your focus is not destroyed by distraction. It is destroyed by the belief that distraction is harmless. Every time you scroll mindlessly, you reinforce mental weakness. Every time you avoid difficult tasks, you strengthen fear. Every time you choose comfort, you weaken your resolve. Focus is like a muscle, use it or lose it. Toxic thoughts weaken it. Intention strengthens it. Repetition fortifies it. You reclaim control by giving your mind structure. Clarity thrives in routines. When you wake up at the same time, eat at the same time, train at the same time, your mind begins to align itself with order. Structure reduces noise. Order reduces confusion. When your days become deliberate, your thoughts become disciplined. The most dangerous thing in life is a wandering mind with no direction because it becomes a magnet for negativity. When you take control of your mind, your life follows. A clear mind sees opportunity faster. A clear mind recognizes danger earlier. A clear mind avoids emotional decisions. A clear mind pushes you when motivation disappears. A clear mind protects your peace like a guardian. That is why Goggins says the most important battle is always internal. If you win that fight, the external world becomes easier. Toxic thoughts don't disappear forever, but they lose authority. You must become the dominant voice in your head, not the frightened one. Every time you choose action over hesitation, you shift power away from the toxic part of your mind. Every time you speak truth to yourself instead of allowing fear to narrate your life, you reclaim mental territory. Every time you control your focus, you weaken the patterns that once controlled you. Inner peace is not silence. Inner peace is knowing that your thoughts no longer control you. It is the calm confidence that comes from understanding yourself deeply. It is the discipline to remove thoughts that don't serve your future. It is the strength to say no to mental habits that once ruled your life. When you clear the mental fog, your purpose emerges. When you silence the noise, you hear your ambition again. You must decide what kind of person you want to be. Someone who reacts to every thought, or someone who directs their thoughts with intention, someone who gets pulled into emotional traps, or someone who walks through life focused and grounded. Someone who repeats the past, or someone who shapes a different future. The mind will follow whichever direction you feed with consistency. Feed it weakness and your life will shrink. Feed it discipline and your life will expand. Feed it fear and your world will become smaller. Feed it courage and opportunities will appear where you once saw obstacles. The most powerful truth is this: you cannot control every thought, but you can control which thoughts you give power to. That is the difference between chaos and clarity. That is the difference between stagnation and growth. That is the difference between a life controlled by fear and a life guided by purpose. You clear your mind by choosing yourself, choosing your focus, choosing your peace, choosing your discipline, choosing your future. Toxic thoughts will always knock at the door, but you decide who gets to stay. You decide which thoughts enter your life. You decide what becomes your identity. And when you finally reclaim your mind, you reclaim your focus, and once your focus returns, your power becomes unstoppable.